Hello again, Dave Hill coming at you. Thank you for tuning in for the video. All right, so I hope you've been practicing hard and working on these lessons. I know you have been, because I have been. It's been a lot of fun. So let's continue on and talk about combining some of the things that we've already covered. And we're going to start off just today's lesson learning a new sequence or reviewing a sequence and then showing you a new one. And then we're going to get back to the combining of the arpeggios that we've been covering. So let's go ahead and do our sequence for our warm-up that we've covered before. And you know, of course, that you can download these lessons or download the materials that we're teaching on the lessons as well. So make sure you're doing that. Okay, so you might recall that we've done sequences in major scales before, right? We've done up and down sequence, a pattern like that, but we've incorporated, let's say, thirds, diatonic thirds. Right? In one of our lessons in the past, we incorporated what's called intervals of fourths, which was this. And that was simply every fourth note as we ascend up the scale. And that sounds like this. All the way up to the top, and then went up to the highest note that we could play, and then we reversed it and came back down. Okay, so let me just make sure that we can do that together, and let's slow it down a little bit for you. How about if we do it? Now you'll see this on the screen there. Or you'll download it, rather. And it'll be like this. Okay, that's a good tempo. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so those are intervals of perfect fourths, and just like the thirds, you want to practice these in different positions as well, in different patterns. Okay, let's do that one more time, but let's loop it this time. Okay, loop it, meaning play it multiple times in a row. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go again. Okay. Okay, so we want to review one of the sequences that we've covered in previous lessons, but I'm going to show you a variation of it. And I think this is worth practicing as well. Okay, so we had perfect fourth intervals before that were like this. Every fourth note as we ascend up the scale. And it would sound like this if you played a sequence. Now in past, we've just come down starting with the bottom note first and playing the top note. Okay, what we're going to do now in this sequence is we're going to reverse the order as we go to the top. What we're going to do that's interesting is we're going to play the top note, the high note first, and then play the fourth below. Okay, that might not seem like a big deal, but it's a different picking direction on the top. So when you hear it in context, it sounds like this. And then back to the other direction. Okay, you get that? You hearing it? Okay, and remember, you can download these lessons and the exact examples on the internet, so make sure that you're doing that so you have a copy of it. Okay, so that was the perfect fourth interval study with a slight variation. Okay, I'm going to show you another one as well. And this one, well, you've not learned before, so this is a new scale sequence. Okay, and remember, you might recall that we've done thirds already, and we just covered fourths that we've done before. Okay, well, what do you think it's going to be today? I bet you can imagine, or I bet you can predict, it's going to be perfect fifth intervals, or diatonic fifths. Okay, so what do you think that's going to be? It's going to be every fifth note as you ascend up the scale. So the intervals are now getting farther apart, and the picking challenges start to show up in different ways, okay? So now we're going to have this. Every fifth note as we ascend up the scale. Right? And then back down. Okay, so that's kind of an interesting sequence, and it has a wider sound that I think is kind of musical. Right? Okay, I'm sure somewhere in your lives before you've heard this song. Okay? The unique aspect to that melody and that chord progression is the fact that it's fifths. Open fifths. Right? And that's a very distinctive sound. And so when we're utilizing that in melodies, it's very distinctive. And it has a kind of an open, interesting sound to it. So that's why I want you to practice this sequence. So let's try it again now, and I'll do it real slowly for you. Here we go. 3 and 4 and. Okay. You might find it's more challenging than other things that you've practiced, and it's just because the picking range is now skipping over some strings. But all these individual scale sequences are important. We're going to eventually move up to 6 intervals, up to 7th intervals, and even ninths, just to challenge you and to get your right hand picking direction, to give it some different skills and some different challenges, okay? So let's work on fifths now for the next practice homework, okay? And you'll download that and print that out, and you can study that at home as well. Okay, let's move on to the next review, and that is the concept of the arpeggios that we've been studying. We've been covering minor and major, right? And we've been doing that basically in 3 main shapes: pattern 4, pattern 2, and pattern 1, right here. Okay, so I know you've been working hard on those. In the last lesson, we talked about the idea of sweeping the arpeggios. Okay, so we spent a lot of time on a minor progression, and I told you to review the major progression or the major triads to work out the sweep. And let's just do that real quick before we combine these together. Okay, so.